Welcome to South Orange Cataloging Support Training. So let me introduce ourselves. I'm Yumi Choi, Senior Cataloging Librarian. I'm doing English, Chinese, Japanese, Korean original cataloging, and WSP updates and more.
Hi, everybody. I'm Margaret Rose O'Keefe. I'm the Cataloging and Special Projects Librarian. I handle the CatExpress import every day and some e-content cataloging on occasion, and database cleanup as well. I'm also the project manager for the South Orange transition to Buckles.
Hi, everyone. I'm Kirsten Fagerlund. I'm Cataloging Librarian. I do the WCP, the WorldCat Collection Partners import every day. And I also do languages other than English, Chinese, Japanese, or Korean original cataloging.
Okay, that's us. And let's begin with our cataloging workflow. So there are 3 ways you can get your records. The first one is you're getting your records from WCP service, which is WorldCat Collection Partner Service, which means if you order your items from OCLC collection partners such as Baker & Taylor and Ingram, then we will get the short bit records, which means incomplete records automatically when your items are shipped. This is one of the ways you can get your records. And then the second way is through CatExpress. So you will learn about how to do it from this training. So you search CatExpress and you find the records which meets Buckles criteria and Buckles policies. Then you save it to a huge institutional file, and then catalogers fetch the file every day, and they go through and then later, if the records are good, then they import the records to Polaris and Lib. And the last way, if you cannot find your records for your item in OCLC WorldCat, then you request the original cataloging. So you can do it through a special support form, which is original cataloging and policy violating records, which means like a nonfiction older than 5 years or like self-published. Those books are not comply with Buckles policies and procedures. So those kind of stuff, your director or your designee who was appointed by your director can submit the justification form. Kirsten will go through the form later, so you will know how to do it. And the stuff the catalogers check while they're after they fetch the files and go over to the file. We are doing we call it as batch edit. So during the batch edit, we do deleting unnecessary fields and subfields, and we review each record. So we identify policy violating records or wrong format records and we notify the requesting libraries about why your records cannot be imported. And we also add GMDs, which is obsolete, but we are still doing it because our member libraries want it. General Material Designation, that's a full name of GMD. And we switch the children's headings to Library of Congress subject heading. And we other than that, we do other necessary modifications during the batch edit. So we mentioned WSP service and WSP records several times before. So let's see what are the WSP records. So WSP records means like WorldCat Cataloging Partners Collection Records, Partner Collections Records, sorry. Go back. Okay. So sorry about that. Oh, I didn't touch anyway, just automatically turn the page anyway. So as I briefly mentioned before, we are getting the records from when your materials are shipped to your library. We automatically get the records from the vendor, like such as Baker & Taylor or Ingram. These are not complete, but these are like incomplete short bit records, but this is beneficial because you don't need to search records for your item if it's already there. And also your patrons can place a hold faster. So we can get the records faster and patrons can place holds faster through this service. And we are monitoring this incomplete records in a specific record set. So whenever we found the complete records for those records, we replace it, we update it. So we regularly check it and then we update the records. So this is kind of beneficial for library staff and your patrons. So if you want to register this service, please let us know. You can email cataloging@buckles.org, then we'll set it up for you. So this is an example of WSP record. So after you, at the end of this training, you will definitely know that the left-sided record looks something like wrong, right? Everything is in all capitalized. And there's a lack of information in publication information there. So you're gonna be wonder why these bad records is in Buckles database. So you click the record and then you'll see the detailed view, and you found the 590 field over there that says that this is WSP records, which is incomplete, and it will be updated when the complete record is available. So this is a kind of WSP records example, and it's not complete, but it's beneficial as I explained before. Okay, so before we start to learn about CatExpress, just let's start with how you set up your local browser, which means that if you are using Google Chrome or just like a Firefox, if you just set up this local browser setting one time, then next time you just start the CatExpress, all the authorization and password is already there. So let's learn how to do it. So if you just enter http connection.oclc.org, this is the first screen you will see, and the first screen you'll see has nothing here because I already saved my setting there. It's automatically there, but if it's your first time, then you have nothing there. And then you go to local browser setting at the right bottom, and you'll see this screen. So Margaret already sent this information to your director. So you already have your authorization number and password. And this is for the example for Allendale, but for you guys, this name should be your 4-letter code for your library, which is SORA, S-O-R-A. So you put all the information here and then just put N for the DOI only and just check it as a default. And most important thing is you enter all the information, but if you click other things here, it will just like not save this setting. So you have to set it up again. So please remember, you always click Save Settings. Then next time you go to OCLC Express, you don't need to enter all the information again because it's already there. So please remember, click the Save Setting after you enter the information. So now your internet browser setting is done. The next thing is you just set up your CatExpress. So your CatExpress setting, just like one of you can do it, and it's there, and everybody can use it at the same with the same setting. So just decide who's going to do it, and just follow this direction. So if you just log in with your credential, then just you will see the 2 tabs on top. One is Express, and then the other is General. So click the General and click Admin. And you don't need to worry about other settings. You only need to worry about export options and express options. So first, we're going to set up the export options. So just make sure if the file name is export.mrc, and export file type is institution, just make sure these two settings are correct. Other things are deferred, so you don't need to worry about it. So just check everything is like this, but just make sure the file name is correct. And then if your export file type is institution, if you just check by accident individual, then all of records you selected saved in your local computer location, not the institutional file. So although you save all the records, if the setup is individual, catalogs cannot fetch your files, fetch your records because it's saved in your local computer. So we have no way to get the records. So please make sure these two file name is export.mrc and export file type is institution. And please make sure that after you enter this information and check the institution, click the Save My Default. So just forget about the other options. Just you remember Save My Default. Okay. Then the next setup is Express options. So we just set up export option. Now we're going to set up Express options. So here are again 2 things you remember. The holding library code is BRGA, which is 4-letter code for organ vocals. So please make sure that your holding library code is BRGA and add your location 4-letter code. This is for the example for Allendale, but for you put SORA, SORA here. So that's your default location code. So the other thing you don't need to worry about, it's I think those are already there as a default. So you don't need to worry about other options, but just make sure the library code and the location. Then again, don't forget to save my default. So don't click anything other than save my default. Then your setup will be just wiped. So please don't forget save my default. So once these options are set up, then you don't need to worry about this setup again. So once this is set up by one person, then the other person can use CatExpress as the first person setup. Okay, so you set up everything and you log into CatExpress. The first announcement you will see is this. So it says you're not going to use CatExpress anymore from next April, but you don't need to worry about it because catalogers just handling this, and we are just let you member libraries know that when we'll be ready to transition for the transition. So for now, you don't need to worry about this and just use CatExpress as instructed. Okay, so another thing before we start CatExpress training, catalogers try to communicate with member libraries by using their library's cataloging account. I believe that Margaret already sent this information to your director, and I don't know if your director already set up this for you, but if you are not have this set up, please ask your director and then just make sure that all the cataloging, all the emails to catalog your library's cataloging account is they are forwarding to you. So make sure that, and if you don't know how to do it, ask your director. Your director knows how to do it. Right, Margaret? Anyway, so this is
Right, Yumi, you got it.
This is one way of cataloging communication, and then the other is like a group. We have some Google group, and tech service group is one of them. So if there's like important cataloging announcement, we are let them know using this tech service group. So in order to join this tech service group, just go to this website, and here how to join. Go to this website and search for Buckles Technical Service and just select the group and click join group. Then you will get any notification through this group. Okay. So now we're gonna start CatExpress search. Okay. Here's a very important setting before you start your search. which is language of cataloging limiter as English. This limiter is different from the language of your item. So this is different. This is for the bibliographic description. So WorldCat is, as you can see, WorldCat. So all of the libraries, all of the world participating, and then they are sharing their records with other WorldCat participating libraries. For example, Chinese libraries will catalog their records in Chinese. So instead of pages and like centimeter and other subject headings, they're gonna use their Chinese subject heading, and they're gonna use their own language to describe the material, because they are providing service to their people who's using Chinese. So for other example, if you are getting records from some French libraries, then all the bibliographic description will be in French instead of English. So in order to prevent you get a lot of results in various language cataloging description, so description, we just set this language limiter as English. In that way, you will only get like a small amount of result, not a lot of result for your search. Here's an example. What happens if you don't set it up? So if you don't set language of cataloging limiter as English, this is gonna be the search result. So as you can see, this brief search result will tell you a lot of things. So first one, so you cannot see the title because it's in Chinese script, and CatExpress cannot display non-Roman language script, so that's why it looks like this. But it's originally entered Chinese language there. So although you search the book which is in Roman language, this one has a Chinese language there because it's I think that maybe this is a Chinese translation of this book. And as you can see, it says cataloging language is Chinese. And the second one is that it's cataloging language is German. As you can see, all the German languages are here. All the German, the cataloging descriptions are in German. And another thing you can get information from this record is from this view is that this is even not a printed material. This is online research, which we have to avoid. Margaret will give you some example later. And so you see all the different cataloging description language here. So we don't want this. I mean, it'll just take take more time for you to search the language, search the record you really want. So please set the limiter as English. And here's a bib record, what it looks like if you don't set it up. So this one is cataloged in Slovenian language. So all the cataloging description is in Slovenian. For example, here instead of page nation pages, it has a Slovenian some abbreviation of page, and all the subject headings are in Slovenian, not library of subject heading, not in English. So this record we don't want it. So please make sure you set the language limiter as English. If you set the cataloging limiter as English, this is a record we want to see. So after you set the language limiter, you will only get the records which are cataloged in English. So the same book record in English, cataloged in English, it has a, instead of pagination, maybe at the time this library cataloged this book, they don't have the pagination. That's why they just put the volume instead of pagination. And all the subject headings are in English. So this is a record which will make you happy and the catalogers happy. So please don't forget to set the cataloging language limiter. Okay, so we just briefly talked about the CatExpress cannot display non-Roman language. So left side is CatExpress record for the Korean movie Parasite. As you can see, it can, because it cannot display non-Roman language, everything is like only transliterations, which we don't like it. But if you use not CatExpress, but record manager. This is a record manager record. They are the same record, but display is different. So we recommend libraries who do a lot of word language in non-Roman language. We recommended that use record manager instead of CatExpress, but I heard that South Orange doesn't do a lot of non-Roman language materials. Also, I'm just showing this to you for just your information. But if you someday, if you are interested in non-Roman language collection, then just let us know. We'll set the record manager account for you. Okay, so let's go back to CatExpress. So this is a basic search screen, and we always recommend the libraries to use a standard number, which is ISBN for the books, UPC for the media, and ISSN for the serials. Again, you always check the limiter setting as English, and there's another option. There are other options, keyword and a title phrase, but you will get more search result, and you will just get a lot of records, tons of records. So we always recommend you to use a standard number for a fewer search result and get more accurate records. Okay, so somehow your material doesn't have a standard number and you want to limit your search more, then please use advanced search option. So in this example, I searched for Harry Potter audiobook, which is narrated by Jim Dale, but not Jim Dale is British narrator, but I just want it's not published in United Kingdom, so I want the English, and its content language is English. This is different from cataloging limiter. The cataloging description is in English, and also the content, the language of the material audiobook also in English. The language here is for the content. So I limited my search using date. I just want audiobook published during this period, and the record format is audiobook sound recording. This is how you limit more using advanced search. So let's see the result. So these are the search results for the search I just did through the advanced search. So you will get some result here, and you can sort your search result by these filters. And if you see, as I just mentioned before, this short bit record says a lot of information to you, although you don't open each record. So you can see in BRG here, that means this record is already in Buckle's database, Police, LIP. We call it Buckle's database is Police and LIP. But please make sure that although you see in BRG, that doesn't mean that it's always in the Buckle's database. There are just big cases. One of our member library just saved it to catalog. That means it will take some time for the catalogs go over the records and import the records to the place. So although it's just saved, but there's a time gap between the moment the record is saved and then it is imported to the police. So if you see in BRG, but you cannot find the record in the police, just give us time, or just wait 1 or 2 days, and then you will see the records. This is one case, and then the other case is that it was in BRG, but it was deleted, and we don't have it anymore. But somehow the holding wasn't deleted. Then it says it's still in BRG, but we don't have it anymore. So in BRG, mostly we have it in our database, but not always. And if you see PCC and LC, that means these are better records. PCC is like a libraries who make all the cataloging decisions and policies. They are really good libraries. So if you see PCC records or LC is Library of Congress, Library of Congress created records, those has like a relatively good quality. So if you see like more than one records, but one of them has PCC or LC, you want to choose those records, but make sure that PCC and LC catalogers are also human. So there are gonna be maybe there are gonna be some like mistakes, but well, it's let's say not 100% better, but relatively better than other records. So if you see PCC or LC, you want to choose those records. Okay, so if you find a good record, then next step is you save the records to the catalog. So if you find the record and you want to save it, you will see options on the top. So please make sure that you always click Save to Catalog, not Export only. By clicking Save to Catalog, you save the records to institutional file, and you also set the INBRG holding there. So if you click Save to Catalog, then other member libraries will know that somebody in our member, somebody in Buckles already saved this record, and then it'll be soon in Buckles database, or just it's already in Buckles database. So please make sure that you always save the catalog. But if you just click export only, it just save the record, not set the holding. So although you just search, and although the record is in Buckles database, if you don't save to catalog, if you just click save only, then other member libraries will think that, oh, no one has it, I'm gonna just save to catalog it. So just make duplicate records in the institutional file, and that cause more processing time for catalogers and other member libraries. So please make sure that you always click save to catalog. And after you clicking the save the catalog, the message you will see is that catalog is successful. But this doesn't mean that the record's already in Buckles database. That means your record successfully saved to the institutional file. So as I explained while I showed the flowchart for the Buckles cataloging workflow, catalogers needs to go through all the records from the CatExpress for the day to make sure that they are all meeting Buckles minimum criteria, and that they are complying with Buckles policies and procedures. So that doesn't mean that it's magically there. That means that your records are successfully saved. And please allow us 24 to 48 hours to process your records in the institutional file. Okay, so Kirsten will explain more about the Buckles minimum criteria. Okay, Kirsten.
Thanks, Yumi. I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen with you all. Bear with me for just 1 second. Okay. Right. Hi, everybody. I'm going to go through ways to select good and complete bibliographic records in CatExpress. So this chart here is the minimum criteria that we look for in a complete record. So first we have the main entry, which in MARC coding will be the 100 fields, 1xx. And that usually includes the author's name, a corporate name for a company or a group author, and a composer's name for a musical recording. And second, we have the title statement in the MARC 245 field. That includes the title of the work, the author's name, illustrators, or directors, or producers for a film, and composers or librettists for musical recordings. And third, we have the imprint information in the 260 or the 264 field. That is basically the publication information. So it'll have the location, the publisher's name, and the date. Then fourth, we have the physical description in the 300 field. That includes the pagination, any illustrations, whether color or black and white, sound, content, or color for films, and the dimensions. So dimensions of the books will usually be the height in centimeters, and the number of discs for audiovisual works or audiobooks, movies, music recordings, that kind of thing. Then we have the fifth, we have the subject added entries. We only use the Library of Congress subject headings. Those are the authorized ones that are the most reliable. So those you'll find in the 600 fields. And if you see the second indicator in the code will be the 0 for the Library of Congress subject headings. So if you see another number there, like a 1 or a 7, we don't usually use those, but I'll show you an example of what that looks like in a minute. The 6XX fields usually have the subject, so the concepts of what the work is about. Sometimes it includes people in biographies or memoirs, corporate names like for bands or for organizations. Meeting name is for a conference or an expedition, like for example, the Lewis and Clark expedition, or an event like the Olympics. And then there's geographic names for settings of books and for travel guide locations. As long as there's at least one of these 6XX fields in the record that you find in CatExpress, that's a good sign. And the last, we have the added entry in 700 fields. So these are not in every record, but you may see them occasionally. Those include any additional authors if the work has more than one author. There's editors go in 700 fields, performers for musical recordings or for films, names of groups and organizations or publishers will go here as well. And then a quick note on the 655 field. These are usually for, these are a little bit different. They're the genre and form terms. So these include things like, fiction, novels, large print books, board books, that kind of thing. So these are good to have in a record, but they only tell us what kind of item it is. They don't, and what its physical characteristics might be, but they don't tell us what the item is about. So we prefer that there's at least one 6XX field in the record to make it a complete record. Okay, so here's a small example of an incomplete record, how it looks like in CatExpress. So you see on the left, we have the text display. That's a simplified view. And on the right, we have the mark display, which has the numbered fields that we talked about, along with a few other extra fields. The first thing I noticed in the both displays is that the title field has the author field are all in capital letters. They're all in uppercase instead of normal sentence case. So that immediately will tell you that this is not a complete record. There's also no, if you look on the right on the mark display, there's no 300 field. So there's no physical description of the item. There's no pagination. We don't have the height of the item. And there's also no 600 fields for the subject heading. So we don't know what this book is about. So the catalogers will be sad if you send us a record like this. There's just not enough information. So here we have a more complete record. This one is much better. It's got a lot more information in here. As you can see on the left again, the text display has a lot more included. Everything's correctly capitalized. And in sentence case. And on the right, in the mark field, we have the all the minimum required fields that we're looking for. We have the 100 field with the author's name, Alison Garner. We have the 245, the title statement. We have the 264 field with the publication information, the publisher, the date, and the 300 field with the pages. We've got Roman numeral pages and standard numbers. We've got illustrations and dimensions. And most importantly, we have the 6XX fields. So the 600, as you can see, the 600 fields and the 650 fields are a little bit different. The 600s have the people, which are the subjects in memoir. So it's the author and her daughter. and we have the 650s with the subjects of the book. So on CatExpress, you'll be able to scroll down and see in the mark view the rest of those subject headings that you can see on the text display. The screen is a little bit small to display all of that at once at the moment, but Margaret will show you in a few minutes how to do that on CatExpress so you can see everything. Okay, so here's a few record selection tips that you need to know when you're looking for a record in CatExpress. The best thing to search for is the ISBN standard number, like Yumi mentioned, and for the ISSN is for periodicals, and UPC for audiovisual works or media. So if your item falls under any of the categories below here, we have to ask you for a justification since they don't comply with the Buckles catalog submissions policy. The link here and on the next slide leads to the page with the full list of items that we don't accept or that we require justification for. So what if you can't find a record in CatExpress? You can always send us a ticket on the Buckles support page on Buckles Connect, and the link is here on the slide. And if your item doesn't comply with the policy, you can ask your director or your director's designated appointee to send us an original cataloging request form or a cataloging submission justification form. Items that are self-published, for example, or indie published will also require justification. And for anything that's not released yet or that's newly released, sometimes it's best to wait a week or two before you submit the ticket. There's always a chance that a new complete record will be added before that. So if you have any submissions that are patron requests, like if your patron comes to you and specifically requests the book, or if you have something related to an author event at your library, we'll prioritize those requests. So here's the link to the catalog submissions policy again. This is a brief look at the document, and the link to the full document we have in a couple of places. So you'll be able to look at all the information that you need to know. Okay, so I'm going to go over the different support tickets you can send us if you need help with any cataloging issues. So this is the Buckles Connect page, and you can see on the top there, on the top right, on the menu bar, you click support and it will take you to this page. The Buckles support form is highlighted by the green arrow there. So you just click, all the required fields, and I'll go through the different support forms that you can send us. So yeah, you'll go ahead and select cataloging, and that'll take you to the relevant forms. Okay, so first we have the add ISBN UPC to an existing bib record form. This one covers all the different editions that like paperback editions or paw prints, follet bound, turtleback, or other library binding editions that you might have. That as long as they have the same street date, the same dimensions, roughly the same page numbers as the hardcover editions, you can send us this form and we can add that ISBN or UPC to the bib record that's already in LEAP. And next we have the database error form. That's for any kind of editing suggestions you might have. If you find a typo in the title for a book, or you have a question about the author's name, or if the cover image doesn't match the item you have in your hand, you can send us the database error form. Okay, so then thirdly, we have the linking form for any questions about you have linking your item to a bib record. If you're not sure which record you should link your item to, or if you exported an item through CatExpress and you don't see it in the catalog yet, please send us this form. Okay, and fourthly, we have the OCLC records form for CatExpress and for Record Manager. If you're looking for more than one record, if you find more than one record in OCLC that might work for your item, and you're not sure which one to choose, you can send us this form. Because sometimes, as I mentioned before, the incomplete records for the item can be updated for a week or two after the street date. So if you're not sure which one is the right, if you have a complete one and an incomplete one, you're not sure which one to choose. If you have any questions at all about that, just send us the OCLC records form. Okay, and then lastly, we have the original cataloging request and the cataloging submission justification forms. So these ones can only be sent by your director or your director's designated appointee via Buckles Connect. So, and the information that we need to create a cataloging record from scratch is here on the catalog submissions policy document. Okay, and this is the link to the original cataloging request and the cataloging submission justification forms. As you can see on the menu bar, it's under the support form, that drop-down menu. It's the second option there. So you just click that and it'll show you this Google form right here. Okay. Now I'm gonna speak briefly to the director for a minute, so please bear with me. This is how you can add a designated appointee so that that person can send original cataloging request forms and justification forms on your behalf. So if you're a director, on the link on the support page leads you to the director specific forms that you can send. So you just click that link right there next to the green arrow. And that'll lead you to the director support page. So you've got the Buckles director support form down below. That's the second option from the left. And when you click down there to fill out the form, you just go ahead and select cataloging. And then you click the last option, add designated appointee for submission justification. So it's a pretty simple process. Okay, so now Margaret is going to show you how to search CatExpress, and I will go ahead and stop my presentation.
Okay, I'll go ahead and share my screen so you can see what I'm about to show you in the demo portion. Okay, so hopefully everyone can see my screen now. And I'm going to go ahead and walk through the steps that Yumi and Kirsten just showed you all. So we're going to start by going to the CatExpress site. So as you can see at the top here, I've entered connection.oclc.org and I've gotten to CatExpress that way. I'm going to enter in South Orange's authorization information. But the first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and enter those local browser settings so that every time I go to this site, they'll be filled in for me, like Yumi described. So I'm going to click on this local browser settings at the bottom, and I'm going to open up those settings so I can enter in South Orange's information. So I'm going to put in the authorization information, which has been sent to your director, and she will have either shared that with you already or she will share that with you after this training. If you don't get it from her, you can always just ask her. She does have it in her email. So we're going to enter in the username and the authorization name and the password, and then we're going to enter in the library's 4-letter code, which in this case we've assigned to South Orange as SORA, and we're going to enter N for Dewey only, and then we're going to click this little radio button on the left for the default, and then we're going to save those settings by clicking on Save Settings. It says our settings have been stored, so I'll click OK. And then you'll notice here that the information has been filled in, so we can log on. But what I'm going to do quickly, just to illustrate how this works, is I'm going to log off, and then I'm going to start a new session and see how it's already filled in for me. I don't need to fill it in again. The only thing that we do have to let you know about Buckles computers specifically, and you guys are going to be getting, I believe, 2 Buckles machines to start with, maybe more later on. If you're on a Buckles machine, you're going to have something in place called Deep Freeze. It's software that's used as security so that nothing you do on the computer that might harm the computer is actually saved. what it does is wipe out most things that you've done, settings, history, files that you saved in certain places aren't retained, that kind of thing. You do have a special thaw drive that you can put files in that you want to save permanently, even after the computer is restarted. But basically, it's not going to save settings like this, these local browser settings, if you have deep freeze on. So once you learn a little bit more about deep freeze and how to use that on a Buckles computer, you're going to know how to thaw the computer so that you can save certain settings and then refreeze the computer after you've done that. So you can thaw the computer, set up these local browser settings, and then refreeze the computer. Be sure to refreeze it so that that security is still in place. And then this will be saved and you can log on each time using this authorization and password. So I'm going to go ahead and log on, and you can see here we're at this welcome screen. The first thing I'm going to do is what Yumi told us to do, and that's to set up some of those settings that she mentioned. So we're going to go here to General, this General tab next to Express, and we're going to go to Admin and click on Admin, and we're going to go to Export Options and Express Options, each one to set that up the way Yumi described. So we're going to go to Export Options first, and you're going to see here that this is export.dat, and Yumi told us it needs to be export.mrc. So we're going to go ahead and type export.mrc, and then we're going to make sure this is set to institution rather than individual, which it is, so we're good to go. The next thing you're going to do is click on Save My Default, and then it's going to save those settings for you and keep them in place for all of your future sessions. If you do save for a session, as soon as you log out, these settings are wiped out and they're not going to be saved. So we'll go ahead and go to Admin and Express Options now. And we're going to look here, and someone has already entered SORA as the 4-letter code. So that is one piece of this. But then we also need to enter BRG as the location.
Margaret,
Yes.
coding library code should be BRGA.
BRGA, of course. We're going to enter in BRGA as the location.
No. Location is SORA. Holding library code is BRGA.
Oh, I see. Okay, so this is all messed up. Okay, so let's go ahead and go here to holding library code, and we're going to enter BRGA for that, and then the location is going to be SORA, the library's 4-letter code. And then you're going to click on Save My Default. Just as I said before, if you save for a session, it's going to wipe out these settings when you log out, and they're going to be gone when you log back in. So we're going to click Save My Default. Now, just be aware, I haven't set any of these for you. So you do want to go in and do these yourself the way Yumi described. Just use the manual as your guide, and you can set up those settings correctly because they were incorrect, as you just saw in this one spot. So now we're ready to go over to a search. So I'm going to click on the Express tab here. So I'm clicking Express at the top, and you'll notice that it's on this basic search by default. And we're going to do an example here of something that is not cataloged in English to just reiterate that you do want to apply that cataloging limiter to English in every case. So I'm going to click search for this ISBN, and you're going to see here the reason we want to set that limiter is because when you don't, you get things that are cataloged in English and that are cataloged in other language. So in this case, this one is cataloged in Slovenian. And you can see here in the brief display that you have the title and the author, the translator, you have the authors, the year. But here where you have the extent, normally you would see the pagination. It would have a P or it would say pages. In this case, it says STR. That's actually in Slovenian, not English. And we want these descriptions to be in English. So let's take a look at the full record just to illustrate more of why we don't want to select other languages. We just want English. So this is the text display. I'm going to go ahead and change this to the mark display so we see all those fields that Kirsten was talking about when we're looking for the Buckles minimum criteria for a complete record. Let's click on mark display. And now you can see all the fields on the left-hand side that we need to check. In this case, you're going to see that in that the 300 field, here it is again, STR, but you'll notice some other things here too. So in the 020 field, which contains the ISBNs, you see that the qualifier describing those ISBNs, what format that might be in, those are all in Slovenian. If you go down and you see the original title here in the 240 field, you notice that the language is described as in Slovenian instead of English. If you keep moving down, you notice this 500 note is also in Slovenian. And you notice some of these subject headings are all in Slovenian as well. So you can see that this is not going to be the record we want to select. And another hint that you can use if you get used to reading these MARC records and where the information is that you're looking for, in this 040 field at the top, you always can tell what language something is cataloged in. If you didn't notice it at first, you can look at the subfield B here and see, in this case, it should always say ENG. In this case, it says SLV, that's for Slovenian. So you can tell that this is not cataloged in English, and we don't want to select this record. So I'll go back to my search results, and now let's take a look. I just clicked on search results to go back to my search results, as you can see. And I have the other three, and you can see here, in this case, the cataloging language is English, and in this case, it's also English, but you can tell this capitalization means this is an incomplete record. You can see everything capitalized there. You don't even need to look at that record. And you can click on the third record, and you can see here in the 020 field, it's got soft cover, it's got paperback, that's English. In the 240 field, it says English as the language. In this 500 field, it says translation of, it says previously published. Those are all in English. And you can see the 600 and 650 fields are also in English. So you could tell that this is cataloged in English, but in case you wanted just to verify, you can look in the 040 field, like I said, in subfield B, and you can see it says ENG. So you know this record is going to be a good one to select, and you can go ahead and select this record since it's cataloged in English and it's a very complete record as well. We'll look at more examples of how to tell if you got a complete record. I'll go back to the search results, and I'm going to go back to my search, and we're going to take another look at something, in this case, that's cataloged in English, but that we also want to eliminate in our search results. So let's take a look at this ISBN here, but this time let's apply the language of the cataloging limiter to be English like we're supposed to. And let's search for this ISBN with that limiter in place so we only get records that are cataloged in English. So I'm going to click search. And in this case, I get 3 results. What you might have already noticed is that the extent here of this first record says online resource. So anytime you see online resource, you want to skip that result. You don't want to export a record, save to catalog, not export, save a record that's an online resource, because we are not going to accept that into the catalog. We only accept records for physical materials. We catalog our e-content separately in our own way. We don't use this service for that. So you're never going to need to export and save an online resource. So you can see here, the next one says 31 pages, color illustrations, 24 centimeters. So that's clearly a physical item. And this record would be a contender, not the first record. Let's just take a closer look at this first record to see other indicators. If you missed this online resource in your first pass at the record and you did open it, you can see a few other places that it indicates that it's an online resource. So you're going to see a couple of fields here that you wouldn't see in a print record, an 006 and 007, but that might not be the clearest indicator to you. What you're really going to notice here is in the 020 field, it says right there, electronic book. So this is not a physical print material. This is an electronic book. As you scroll down, you're going to see yet again in the 300 field that it says it's an online resource. In this 337 field, it says computer. So that's another indication, as well as the 338, which says online resource again. And as you scroll down, sometimes in some of these records, you'll see a 655 that says electronic books as well. So you usually have quite a few indicators. Even this 856 that says overdrive might indicate to you that this is not a physical record for a print material. This is actually an online resource for an electronic book that you don't want to select. So we can skip this record, go back to our search results, and we can tell that this second record is going to be a regular paperback. You can see it in the qualifiers by that ISBN information. These O2Os with this Kindle and electronic, those have a subfield Z in front of them, so you don't need to worry about that. Those are not included because they have that subfield Z there. So those would not be included in the record. This one is actually for the paperback and hardcover ISBNs. And you can see in the 300 field, yet again, it's got 31 pages, color illustrations. This is describing a print material. And you can see it says text, still image, and then it says unmediated and volume. So it's a physical volume where there's pagination and a physical description. So this would be the record to select in that case. I'm going to go back to my search result and take another look at a record in another example of where you would want to exclude certain results from your, which ones you would choose to select to save to the catalog. I'm going to search for this ISBN, and just be aware we're searching for the ISBN in this case that ends with 2717. That's going to be important in a minute when we look at another example. So this ISBN I'm searching for comes up with results for 3 records. In this case, you could see the first record, the extent is 31 pages, color illustrations. So this is a good record to select for the physical format because it has that physical description. And in this case, the second 2 records you can see already are all in all caps. So we can exclude those. They're not going to be complete records because they're in all caps for the title and for the author. They actually don't even have a physical description listed. You notice that you don't even see an extent here. So that one is missing that physical description. So these records are not going to be good records. You might have noticed that this is the same title we searched before, but in this case, it's a different ISBN. You might have noticed that there were 2 ISBNs. So let's click on this record and open it and see what's going on here, because this one says in BRG here. We normally don't want to select a record that says in BRG because that means that either it's already in Polaris, in LEAP, and if you search, you'll find it, or it means that somebody just selected this record themselves from another library, and it's going to be in Polaris or LEAP soon. So let's take a look at what's going on here. I'm going to click on this first record, and remember the ISBN ended with 2717. So that means we're looking for this paperback ISBN. Well, I can give you a heads up. This paperback ISBN is not in Polaris, and this has been this way for several days. So why is this saying in BRG if I can't find this ISBN in Polaris? Well, that's because this ISBN, this hardcover ISBN, is in Polaris. So this record was saved to the catalog back when it only had a hardcover ISBN and not the paperback ISBN. And later on, somebody out there in the world that does cataloging in WorldCat, added this paperback ISBN to the record after we had already saved it. Now, the question is, was that correct? Were they supposed to add that paperback ISBN? Does that paperback ISBN belong in this record? As Yumi said, just because it's a PCC record, you could see that here in the 042 field, just because it's a PCC record and those are considered better records than most other records does not mean it's perfect, does not mean they can't make mistakes. In this example, you'll see that this record is for an edition that was published in 2022. We know, or at least I know, that the hardcover was published in 2022. If we go back to the search results though, let's go back to the search results. Even though these are not good records, I'm just going to illustrate here. If I open one of them, this paperback ISBN, this record is just for this paperback ISBN. This was published in 2023, not in 2022. So I'm going to go back to my search results and go back to this first record and point out that this record, again, is for 2022. This paperback ISBN actually does not belong in this record. So that's why you're seeing BRG Holdings here at the top. When it says in BRG, you're going to see at that top, you're going to see that indicator BRG Holdings. That's because we have the hardcover ISBN in Polaris, and that one was published in 2022, and the paperback edition was published a year later in 2023. So we're not going to add that paperback ISBN to this record. Now you could, if you weren't aware of this, you didn't catch on, you could go ahead, since you see that this record says it's in BRG, and you notice that the paperback ISBN is an additional ISBN that's not included in the record in Polaris, you might go ahead and use that form that Kirsten showed you that says add ISBN to an existing record. You could go ahead and submit that form, give us this ISBN, give us the control number of the record that's in Polaris for the hardcover ISBN, and ask us to add the ISBN to the record. That's the point at which we'd be able to tell you, actually, we're not supposed to add this ISBN to this record. We're supposed to create a separate record for this. And what you would do in that case is, since you can't use these two records, both of these are too incomplete, even though this one has subject headings, it does not have a 300 field. It has all caps for the author and the title and the publisher. It doesn't even have a subfield C for the 245 field with the author information included. You could see it's got some other missing information in the 008 fields. If you're a cataloger, you're going to automatically recognize that. And it's just overall, visually, you can tell this is an incomplete record. So either of these records, I'm going to go back to the second record by clicking this arrow here, either of these records that do represent the paperback format exclusively are just incomplete records, unfortunately. So this one would require you to submit the justification form, either your director or your director's designee would submit the justification form for us to not necessarily do the original cataloging per se, but to enhance, do some original cataloging to enhance one of these records, one of these incomplete records, to make it meet the minimum criteria for our catalog, and then we'd add it at that point. So just be aware when you see in BRG, you go back to the search results, when you do see in BRG, that in most cases that does mean that it is in Polaris. Even if your ISBN isn't, you want to pay attention if there's multiple ISBNs in a record. If your ISBN needs to be added to that record, you can always fill out that support form, and we will let you know if it actually isn't a contender to be added to the existing record or not. I'm going to go ahead and show you another example of an incomplete record that you want to avoid. We're going to go through quite a few incomplete records so you can get a sense of what to avoid. So we're going to search for this ISBN here. And this one comes up with one result. So you might think initially, okay, I'm going to submit this record because it's the only one I have to submit, right? So you would think, go ahead and just save this to the catalog. However, be aware of these capitalization, the capitalization in these fields. That indicates to you, however complete it looks, that indicates to you that it is probably an incomplete record. Please be aware of that, because in this case, this is, again, a 245 field with no subfield C to indicate the author information, even though it's here in the 100 field. This is all in all caps. This might not even be the correct format of this author's name. It's just been entered as it probably displays on the item, which is not necessarily the authorized version, of the author's name. There's incomplete information in the 008 field, as you can see, and we can't be sure that this is a complete record because of that. We can tell immediately from all of this capitalization that this is likely to be an incomplete record. And it's missing some pieces of information. So sometimes it can be close, it can look pretty complete, but do keep an eye out for that capitalization and don't save those records to the catalog. Please send us a ticket and ask us first, and we will let you know if it's a complete enough record, if we can work with it or not. And in most cases, if you wait a little bit of time after the release date, it will be updated. And if not, you can always fill out the justification form and we'll do the original cataloging to enhance the record. Let's look at another example of a record that has incomplete information that might look complete, but you just want to keep an eagle eye out for those minimum criteria that Kirsten talked about. So in this case, I have two options here for this record. I see two records, and at the first glance, this top record might actually look okay. But because there's no capitalization in place, it actually looks like a pretty complete record. But you can see that this record has no 300 field. It also has no subject headings, so there's no 600 fields. But in this case, it also has no 300 field. Sometimes it is a little tricky to catch when a record doesn't have a 300 field. So I just want to point that out. Even though this one, once you open it, is pretty clear to be incomplete, it is sometimes hard to identify records that have all the other information but just don't have a 300 field. So do keep an eye out for that 300 field that's missing in some cases. We'll go back to the search results and look at the second record. And in this case, this second record is going to be a better record, and that has all the information that you would need, and you could be able to select this record confidently and know that this one would be a good record to select. Of course, this already says it's in BRG, so you wouldn't actually select this record because you would search Polaris first, and if it wasn't in Polaris, you would wait a couple of days because somebody could have just selected it from another library, in which case it will be in Polaris soon. So we'll go back to the search results. In this case, again, a record can look pretty complete sometimes, but make sure you're really paying attention to all those fields in the Buckles minimum criteria. So let's look at another example of a record that is going to be incomplete for you to search. In this case, I might think, okay, this record is complete. I could select this record. A couple of indicators to you that this is going to be incomplete. Again, you might not notice the incomplete information in the 008 field if you're not necessarily a cataloger and you don't pick up on those things, but you have quite a few other indicators here. So the 100 field looks good, the 245 looks good. It even has a subfield C, although this actually is supposed to have a slash here between the subfield A and the subfield C, but it doesn't. You might not pick up on that though. So the 260 is here. It doesn't have a publication place indicated, which is actually okay, but you could just flag that as one indicator that maybe it isn't that complete, because most publishers, most well-known publishers do have a place of publication that's easily observable from the book, then, or from the item, I should say. Then this publication, this publisher name is in all caps. I would flag that as well as an indicator that this is not a complete record. The 300 field is present and it's complete, so I can skip down below that. And now I see the 600 fields. Now remember, Kirsten indicated that a 655 field is not enough for it to be a complete record. You do need to have subject headings that are in other 600 fields, such as 600, 650, 651, those types of fields. So a 655 field is not enough to constitute a complete record. And in this case, you would not save this record to the catalog. You would wait for it to be completed with more 600 fields, 6XX fields for subject headings. And if that didn't happen within 1 to 2 weeks after the release date, you would contact us, fill out this justification form, and we would enhance this record for you. Let's go back to another example where it's a little bit tricky to tell with subject headings what's a complete record or not. When we search this ISBN here, we're going to see three options. In this case, that all look pretty good at first glance. So let's take a look at this second record to start with. Okay, so I might think this second record is a good record. It actually looks pretty complete, has a lot of information in it. And in fact, I'm going to scroll down here. It's got all the information so far as I'm scrolling down that I need. Again, it's missing that slash here before the subfield C, but maybe that's not such a big deal. It's missing the colon before the subfield B. Things we can easily enter into a record, not a big deal. In this case, I would pay attention to this, again, this place of publication not being identified. In most cases, for most major publishers, we should be able to identify the place of publication, but it's not, again, it's not enough for this to be considered an incomplete record. So let's keep going. We have a subfield B here with the publisher name, but we don't have a subfield C that has the publication date. That's a problem. So the publication information needs to be complete for this to be considered a complete record. So that's one vote against this record. If we continue down though, we have the 300 field, which has the pagination and has the centimeters, although 503 centimeters is a little bit odd of a dimension. So I'm questioning that one right away. As we scroll down, it has a nice big summary here in the 520, even though that's not required. And as we keep going, we have 650s. But notice that these 650s have something that Kirsten told us is not acceptable. This has a second indicator of 7. So in this case, the 7 is not an acceptable indicator for the second indicator in the subject heading fields. We need a 0 to be there. In some cases, you'll see a 1. That is actually something we can change ourselves. It's a children's subject heading. So indicator for a children's Library of Congress subject heading. So we can change that to a 0 and change it to juvenile fiction or juvenile literature or whatever it might be. So a 1 is actually okay, even though we say it just should be 0. A 1 we can change ourselves, but we cannot change these. These are completely different subject headings entirely. They're not Library of Congress at all. So you cannot use a record with second indicator 7 in the 650 field. So even though it might look like all of these subject headings are viable, in fact, I'm not even going far enough, all of these are 650s, but they all have a second indicator of 7, so we have to skip this record. This record has no viable 650 fields. And this 653 field is not acceptable either. This is not Library of Congress. It has no second indicator. In fact, it's completely blank. So this record is not going to be valid for us to select. We'll go back to the search results and we'll take a look at the third record here. This one looks pretty good at first glance, but let's just double check. Okay, looks like we have pretty complete information as we go down. We've got a 100, a 245, a 264 that's complete, a 300 that's complete. We have additional information, which is nice. We have the 650s with the second indicator of 0, which is good. We even have a 700 field for an additional author or contributor. So this one looks good. Let's pay attention now to the top. We see ownership, no holdings in BRG, so we don't have this record yet. And we see 19 other holdings. Something you can keep an eye out for is how many other holdings a record has as well. So let's take a look at the other record in our search results. So this just as an aside, this record would be completely acceptable if you were to select this record and save this record to the catalog. But let's just go to the search results to observe another aspect of these records. We'll go to the first record now. And you notice this is a PCC record. So that's something Yumi told you to keep an eye out for. That's considered sometimes to be a better record. So you notice that there. You notice as you scroll down, it's got the 650s, the 300, the 264. In fact, it has 2 264 fields. It's got a 245 and a 246, which is an alternate version of the title. So this is a very complete record as well. And when you go to the top, let's just ignore that this is already in BRG for a second, because of course you wouldn't select this record if it was already in. But let's look at the holdings here. This one has 438 other holdings. So in this case, you could consider that to be an extra vote towards this record, just like the PCC was an extra vote for this record. Those are considered better records, and the more holdings a record has sometimes, and I want to stress that, sometimes indicates that it's the better record to select. In this case, you always want to select the record that best matches your item. So for example, if this was another case of this record was the paperback version, for example, and this record that was in BRG was already was the hardcover, and the paperback was not published in 2022, that whole scenario, you wouldn't save this record. Of course, you would ask us to add it to the existing record in Polaris, or you would ask us to do the original cataloging for it. But in this case, you want to actually make sure what you have in your hand matches this item. So this is sometimes a good indicator, but do first look, was your item published in London or New York? Was this published by Verso? Was it published in 2022? Does it have 368 pages? Is it 25 centimeters? You want to make sure you're picking the record that best matches your item. That's the first thing. Then you can look at, is it a PCC record? Does it have a lot of other holdings? Which record is the best record for my item? After you first make sure that it matches what's described in the record. So let's go back to the search and take another look at an example of subject headings. We really do stress the subject headings because we so often get records that don't have adequate subject headings, and we just want people to get used to what a good subject heading is. So I believe this record was enhanced since I used it as an example, because I can see now that this does have good subject headings. But when I selected this record as an example, it only had this 650 here that says large type books. So what I wanted to just stress is that when you see a record that does have a 650 with a second indicator 0, every once in a while we still don't add the record because it's not a valid subject heading. So in this case, large type books has been switched in Library of Congress to be a 655. So we wouldn't actually add a record that only had a 650 with a subfield second indicator 0 with large type books as the subject. In this case, this one's been enhanced since I last looked at it, so this is a better record now. It has the subject headings, it has all the rest of the information that we would want in a complete record, so this record would be fine now. But just be aware there's certain subject headings that we don't actually still use because they're actually 655s, not 650s legitimately. So let's go back to the search and let's move on to another example. We're past subject headings at this point finally, and we're moving on to a different example of when you get a lot of results. Now this is still not as many results as you can get sometimes. Sometimes you can get even more than this, but when you get a lot of results for an ISBN. So I just searched this ISBN and I got 17 results. So look at the top here, just be aware 17 records are showing here, but it only shows 10 at a time. So just be aware, you're only going to see the first 10, and to see the next ones, you're going to have to click on this arrow to go to the next page of results, and you'll see the rest, the other 7 results are here. So we'll go through and take a look. The reason we want to stress this as an example is because when you do a search, like I mentioned in the last one, the most important thing is to match your item to the item, match your record to the item you have in your hand. So in this case, we're getting results for things published or with a copyright of 1987, 1967, 1997. You're getting all different results here, 1988. So you see, you obviously want to skip certain records like online resource, for example, because you know you want the physical print record. But what year is your item? You want to actually make sure you pick the correct record. So in this case, you also have conflicting information, here in the extent. You have 40 pages here and you have 40 pages here, but as you scroll down, suddenly you get a record with 30 pages. Well, how many pages does your item have? You want to make sure it matches. You also get a record here that says large print. Is your item large print? You want to be aware of that. Let's go to the next page of results. As you scroll down, again, we can skip this online resource example because we know it's not an online resource. We know not to select those records. But here you get a Wonderbook record. Is your item a Wonderbook? If it is, you would look at the Wonderbook examples. There's 2 of them here. Here's another one that says Wonderbook. You have a 2021 publication for these. Is your item published in 2021? So you want to be aware of the different aspects of these records, and you want to match to what you actually have in your hand. Let's go back to the first page though, and let's say our item was copyright 1987 and it was 40 pages. And we can see that this record here matches that description, and it's not large print, so we're not clicking on the large print record. So I'm just going to use this as an example to show you one case of where we would not accept a record that you select. So this one, again, ignore that it says in BRG. Of course, you wouldn't select it if it was already in the catalog or about to become in the catalog. But in this case, if you had selected this record and it wasn't already in, we would not accept this record because this has several ISBNs in the record, and we have no idea which one is your ISBN. There is no way that all of these editions were published in 1987 and are 40 pages and were published by Scholastic. There's just no way. So we know that we need to get your information for your item specifically. So in this case, we'd want you to contact us and just say, hey, this seems to be the best record for my item, but this is the ISBN I have. So we don't want to import it with all of these other ISBNs on the record and clutter up the database that way. We only want this record to represent the ISBN that it's supposed to represent, or ISBNs. In some cases, the hardcover and the paperback are genuinely published in the same year by the same publisher and have the same pagination. So that would be fine to have hardcover and paperback together in that case, but not all of these ISBNs together. So in this case, you'd want to communicate with us. You would not want to select this record because we would not add this as is. We would return this to you, send it to your cataloging email, and we would explain that we couldn't import this record. I want to point out another example. I don't have an example to show you, but in some cases you'll see the book record will have the book ISBN, and then it'll have a large print ISBN right underneath that. It'll have an audiobook ISBN included there too. It'll have maybe different versions, paperback and hardcover both, but it'll have different formats. That's especially a good example of a record that we wouldn't accept because, as you know, we don't catalog large print with the regular print and with the audiobook all together. We certainly would not accept a record that had all of those ISBNs together in the record. So you'd want to contact us about that example too, if that was the only record you could find. We'll go back to the search and we're going to move on to another example, a separate example of a record that you want to keep an eye out for and avoid. So in this case, we have this ISBN that we've searched, and we can see here the top result looks like a very complete result. So let's go ahead and click on it. Looks like it has a lot of information. However, when you click on this record, the first thing you'll notice is that it has several ISBNs here. Now this is a little bit different from the last example where they were for different formats. These are all for paperbacks, but these are for volume 1, volume 2, and volume 3 in the same record. I want to point out a couple of other things you can notice about this record that makes it different from other records. This one is a monographic series, so you're going to see the M here in the 008 field, and you're going to see this 9999 in the 008 field. That's letting you know that this is, like I said, a monographic series and that it's going into the future to an undetermined date. So it might continue as a series for several years, but there's no end date yet. You can scroll down in this record and see also in the 264 field, you're seeing that the year, the publication year, has a hyphen at the end of it. This is indicating yet again that this goes into the future to an undetermined date, and this continues and is continuing to be published as part of this series. You'll also see here in the 300 field This says volumes instead of saying like 100 pages or 200 pages for an individual item. So this is indicating that this record is for multiple volumes. We do not add these types of records to the catalog. We catalog volumes individually. So you would want to select a record for volume 1 for this ISBN. Then you would want to select a separate record for volume 2 for that ISBN, and so on. We would not add this record, so you can avoid these types of records. We're going to go back to the search, and now we're going to do an example of if we had no ISBN or couldn't find the ISBN on the item. So, excuse me, in this case, as Yumi suggested, we would want to go to an advanced search because we wouldn't want to just type in the title here. We'd get too many results in that case usually. So we'll go to an advanced search. We're going to keep that cataloging language limiter to English. And in this case, we're going to type in a title. So I'm going to change this to title. And I'm going to type in Freddy's Amazing Bakery. And in this case, let's say I know that this was published because I can see it on the item that it was published in 2019. I'm going to click search. I'm going to try to find records that were published in 2019 with that title. So the first one I can ignore because it says 1 sound disc in the extent, and I don't have a sound disc, I have a book. So let's move to the second example. This one looks like a pretty good record. It has pagination, the years. So this is for a physical item. Let's click on this record. However, in this example, we would not accept this record because this has, as you can see, no ISBN field here, no 020 field with the ISBN included. The only case in which we would accept a record with no ISBN is if it was published before ISBNs were even adopted. So if it was, before the 70s or something like that, then you would legitimately not have an ISBN for the item, and we would understand that. But in this case, this was published in 2019, so we're going to need this record to have an ISBN. So we would return this record to you and ask for more information. We would ask you for the ISBN for this record. So this we would not accept. However, if we go back to the search results, you can see that there's a third record here. We can click on this record, and this one does in fact have an ISBN. So this would be the record if it was complete in all other aspects, which it does appear to be. It has the 264, 245, 100, 300, and correct 650s with second indicator 0. So this one is a good record, and we would be able to accept this record because it also has that ISBN field. So you always want an ISBN or a UPC for media to be present in the record for current records that have been published, since ISBNs and UPCs were adopted. So we'll go back to the search and do another example of a record that we wouldn't actually add, but we'll have an alternative for you in this case. In this search, I'm searching for the ISBN and I'm getting one result. So you might think initially, okay, this is great. I'm going to export this record. I'm going to save this record to the catalog, excuse me, not export. But in this case, we want to pay attention up here to the ISBN and the qualifier here in this subfield Q. It says paw prints. So in our catalog, we don't actually catalog paw prints separately. We don't catalog Follett Bound, Turtleback, Penworthy, Perfection Learning. There's a few examples of these that we don't catalog separately. So this record is just for the paw prints edition of this title, which, as you might know, is for bound editions of paperback editions. So they were released, they were published as paperbacks, and then a library binding company, so to speak, took the paperback, bound it up, and made it into a hardcover. And there's a few companies that do that. So one of them is Paw Prints. So in this case, we would not add this record if you save this record to the catalog. What you'd want to do is, if you remember, Kirsten showed us those support forms. You'd want to go to the support form to add an ISBN. You'd find the record for the paperback, which you can actually find by looking at the verso, the other side of the title page, the back of the title page in the book. And you'd look for that paperback ISBN on the verso. and you'd find that record in Polaris and give us that record information and then say, can you add this ISBN to that record? And we would do that for you. So let's go back to the search, and we're almost done with our examples. Here is another example of a record that we would not add, that you would not want to save to the catalog. And the reason here is a little bit different than some of the other reasons we've encountered. So let's look, we have 7 results. Let's narrow them down one by one. So the first result automatically doesn't look as complete as the others. Why? Okay, so this one has 50th anniversary edition. This one has Harry Edwards. This one has Harry Edwards. This one has Harry Edwards. This one has 50th anniversary and Harry Edwards, excuse me. And so does this last one. So this one is the least complete automatically of all of these records, just for that reason. So let's skip that record. Let's just go out on a limb and say that's probably not the one we want. The second record is an online resource. We're going to skip that. The third is an online resource, so we're going to skip that. The fourth is LC, so it's Library of Congress, which is good, but it's an online resource, so let's skip that one as well. The next one is a PCC record, which is also good. It is not an online resource, so that's another good indicator. And before I move forward, I could actually select this record and be fine, but let's just verify by going to the next 2 records, and we can see actually those are not going to be candidates because those are online resources as well. So I was right in thinking that this was the record to go with. So we will go ahead and click on the 5th record. So let's take a look at some indicators to find out if this is a good record. We have, it's cataloged in English, but we already knew that because we used the limiter. It's got an ISBN, it's got a 100, a 245, it's got a 264 and a 300, it's got 650s with second indicator 0. This looks good. But one problem with this record. This is a nonfiction record, and it was published in 2017. Now, if you reviewed the Buckles policies already, you're already aware that this record would not be added to the catalog without justification because it's older than 5 years nonfiction. We do have a policy that nonfiction records older than 5 years are not added to the catalog unless we get justification from the director or the director's designee. So this one you wouldn't want to add. You would go ahead and get that justification first so that you didn't have to go through the process of us returning it to you and emailing you, and then you would have to go get the justification anyway. So you might as well be aware of these things in advance and not select them from the start. So this one, you would just need the justification. And then it's fine, it's perfectly fine for us to add it. It's just a policy that all the Buckles libraries agreed to adopt. So we, of course, uphold the policies that the Buckles libraries have voted on. So they just want to avoid having old, incomplete information, incorrect information in our catalog about some of these nonfiction topics. So the next example, very similar example, being that it has to do with policy, is this ISBN here. We're going to do a search and we're going to get this result, and we're looking at all the fields here and they're looking pretty complete. The only thing I noticed maybe is that this 264 field here doesn't have subfield A, but this one does here, so maybe we're okay with that. It's got subject headings, pagination, publisher information, author title, everything that we need. However, this record is a self-published record. We also have a policy that we don't add self-published records without justification from the director. How can you tell that this is self-published? Well, in this 264 field here, you could see that the publisher information in the subfield B is the author's name. So anytime you see the author's name repeated in the publication information, you know that it's self-published. It's published by them. The other 2 indicators you can sometimes find for self-published are if it says publication information not identified in this field, or if it says create space. That's just a publication like service. It's not, it's like a self-published, like facilitator or something that helps authors self-publish, but it's not in fact a publisher itself. So if you see any of those indicators, you can go ahead and ask for the justification from your director or from the director's designee, because you know you'll need it, and you might as well not save this to the catalog, because you'll just get it sent back to you with an indication that it violated policy and we need justification for it. Let's go back to the search. Something I should have mentioned about the old nonfiction, we also have a similar policy for video games that are older than 5 years. So we don't accept video games older than 5 years. We do need justification for those as well. So now finally, let's look at a complete record. After all that, we've seen a few complete records along the way, but let's really dive into a complete record in this case. So for this ISBN, I have 2 results. I can immediately ignore the first result because it's an online resource. And the second result, I can open it and just double check. So in this case, I have from the top down, it's cataloged in English, which we already knew. It has an ISBN. It has a 100 field, which again isn't required. You can sometimes have just a 700 field, but in this case, we have a 100. We have the 245 field, which has the subfield A and the subfield B, which is not required, but that's extra information. It's a subtitle. And then we have the subfield C, which is necessary. That has the author's information there. It has a 264 field, which is complete and has the publication information with the place, the name, the date. It has a 300 field with all the pagination, the description of the illustrations, and the height in centimeters. Scrolling down, it has some additional information which is helpful but not required in these 500 fields, 504, 505, 520. That's very helpful. It also has the 600 fields with second indicator of 0. So this is a really good and complete record. And we can go ahead and add this. Now, just be aware, again, as you've seen in most of these examples, they already say BRG holdings, so we wouldn't add this record normally, but if we pretend that it doesn't say that, we can see this is 186 other holdings, which is really good. If we had multiple records to select from, we might take that into account when comparing them, but the main thing is to make sure that this record matches our item. It has 183 pages. It's published by Morgan James Publishing. The ISBN matches, all of that type of information. Then in this case, if this was not already in BRG, you would go ahead and click on Save to Catalog, not Export only, Save to Catalog, and you would see that message that the cataloging was successful, but you would know that that doesn't mean it's already in the catalog immediately. That it just means that it's been saved to the institutional file, and that the catalogers are going to work on it, do their edits, and then get it into the catalog as soon as possible. So you'd wait that 24 to 48 hours before worrying about where the record was. If it still wasn't in after that, you would want to make sure you've checked your cataloging email to see if we've communicated with you about the record and why it might not have been added. Or you could write us and send a support ticket and just say, hey, I did save this record to the catalog and I'm not seeing it yet and I don't have an email about it. So I'm just wondering what happened. Sometimes somebody goes on vacation and we're a little bit behind. You never know. So you can always communicate with us and ask us why that might be the case. So that's all I have. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And we can go ahead and look at the questions and see what people might have asked. Okay, so I see a question here in the Q&A. If the bottom 2 records aren't usable, why would they be included in the database? Okay, I'm not sure what we meant by the bottom 2 records, but I'm guessing that it was an example that I went through that had a whole list of records, and there were certain ones that I was saying weren't good records. The problem is since it's a worldwide database, and I'll let Yumi add anything she might have to add after I'm done, but it's a worldwide database, so you get all sorts of records, unfortunately. So you can get very incomplete records from other library systems that do allow more incomplete records in their database, even though we don't accept those records. So the problem is you're just seeing things from all over the world, and other libraries have different standards. So we see all of their records, unfortunately.
Margaret, you answered the question while you're explaining about the original challenge justification form.
Sorry, Yumi, you were a little quiet. I couldn't hear you.
So the question was asked when you showed there's only incomplete records are there and then no complete record, and then you explained later that in this case you need to submit, you or just your director or designee need to submit the justification form. You already explained it.
I did, yes, okay, yeah. When you see incomplete records like that, yeah, they wouldn't be able to be used, but you can submit the justification form and we can enhance the records and make them more usable for us. Yes, that's correct. Thank you, Yumi.
You're welcome.
That was the only question I see. I don't see anything in chat either, just in case somebody used the chat by accident for questions. Oh, now I see something in chat. Let's scroll back and see what's in chat. Okay. Once we have a good record and we save to the catalog, how do we get our barcode attached to it? Well, that's going to be answered in the linking training, which is happening on September 7th at 1 p.m. and is happening again later in the month. I just have to quickly double check when that is, unless Darlene already has it memorized. September 22nd at 10 a.m. is the next linking training. So those two trainings are going to explain that, but you want to make sure you first come to the intro to Polaris training, because that's going to show you how everything you need to know about the interface itself, how to find things, just the general information that you need to know. So everyone that's going to use circulation, linking, any of that kind of stuff, anyone that's going to use that at all in any way should be coming to the intro class first. So that's on September 5th at 1 p.m. And then it's also on September 20th at 10 a.m. So you can talk to Lindita about signing up for those. She has all the information, I think. We're emailing her and then she's sharing it with all you guys. But you would want to be sure to come to the intro class, then come to the linking class. The linking training class is one of those to find out how to attach your items to the bib records. But the first thing is, of course, to get the bib records into the database, and then you can attach your items to them.
Thank you, Margaret.
You're welcome. And I should also point out that you may have already been told this, but the process is going to be that you, for all new items that you add from October on, even though we're not going fully live until December, we're doing this sort of intermediary process where you're going to be adding items to both databases, your TLC database and to the Buckles database. So you're going to want to, starting October 1st, you're going to want to be looking in CatExpress for your new records. Searching, you're always searching Polaris first to see if it's already in. And if it is, then you're good. You can add your item to it in Polaris. But if you don't find it there, you're going to want to be searching CatExpress and adding your records in CatExpress from October on, because we're going to do a little bit of duplication just to get us at a good place for when we go live in December. So you'll be adding stuff to your catalog records to CatExpress and your items to Polaris, and adding your records and items to TLC.
Hey, Margaret, since
Yeah.
you are the project manager for our friends in South Orange, and you touched upon briefly the linking training, do you want to mention anything about any of the other upcoming trainings?
They may or may not be relevant to this group. I'm not sure how their duties are assigned, but if anyone does do circulation as well, we do have those trainings coming up. The week after the intro and the linking training, we have the patron services training on September 11th at 1 p.m. We have the, what is it? The circulation training, I think, is next on Wednesday, the 13th at 1 p.m. And then we have the holds training, so patron requests, holds training on the 15th at 1 p.m. And then we have those repeated again. So we have the 25th, we have patron services again at 10 a.m. And then we have circulation again, the 27th at 10 a.m. And then we have holds again, patron requests, holds again at 10 a.m. on the 29th of September. So we have everything repeated twice, one in the morning, one in the afternoon, for anyone that has anything to do with like circulation, patron record, managing patron accounts, adding their library cards, changing their barcodes, renewing their account, that kind of thing. And then holds, placing requests on materials and managing those requests. So yeah, circulation is basically, your check in, check out, renew, that kind of thing.
Excellent, excellent. So Michael has a comment in the Q&A box that he was working with you on something else and wanted to ask you a follow-up.
Okay, so do we want to unmute?
We can certainly do that.
I don't know how to do that.
I have to find the okay, let's see. To find
Okay, I just did something.
All right, we have to find the participants list.
Michael, can you, are you able to say anything now? Otherwise, you can just type it, Michael. But I did request the unmute, so I don't know if that will work.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm not hearing anything, so
He said he's gonna type.
Okay. That works.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, so yes, we're about to import all the item records. Yep, that's correct. We'll probably do that on September 29th. I have a lot going on September 29th, in fact. And you're doing weeding. That's great. That's great. Do you need to stop that at the point that we import everything? No. What I would just recommend is that you come to the linking training and then you wait to weed anything until you've had the linking training. And then well, no, I shouldn't say that. If you come to the linking training, you'll know how to weed in Polaris as well. So what I would say is on the 29th, when we import all your records, whatever you weed after that point, weed it in Polaris and in TLC. You'll learn how to weed in the linking training. But the point is, we're doing all this duplication starting October 1st. So everything you're going to do in TLC starting then, you're going to want to do in Polaris as well, except for patron holds. Those are trickier to duplicate and to keep track of because you're going to have two separate holds lists and, which patron do you give things to? And, it's just, that's a little bit trickier. So we're only doing check-ins, check-outs, new patrons, linking new items, new bib records, all of that, and removing bib records as well. Removing items as well. We'll do in both databases. So yeah, go ahead and weed in both places after October 1st. Okay, Great. And of course, you know, if there's any questions, the training will be, you know, it'll be a lot of information. You could come to both trainings if you want to, you know, really drive this info home. But you can ask us for help with your reading. Obviously, we're here for support if you have any questions about it. If it wasn't thorough enough in the training, you know, we're here.
Great. I don't see any new questions, so I'm just going to kind of wrap it up. If anybody does have any questions, feel free to take this time to type them in the Q&A box, or we can try to unmute you. So I would like to thank Yumi, Margaret, and Kirsten for a great class with a lot of information. I would also like to thank everyone from South Orange for taking time out of your day to attend this training. As we said, we will share the link to the recording, and if anyone did not receive the slides and the handouts earlier, that will be included in the email as well. I know that they included the CatExpress manual and the record selection tips. We'll also be sending you an evaluation on today's training. It's anonymous. If you could just give us your feedback, it helps us to plan either future training pertaining to this topic or other topics. And I think that's it. So unless we have any last minute questions, we're going to call it a wrap. So I do not see any other questions. Margaret, Kirsten, Yumi, anything else you'd like to add before we wrap up?
No, just thank you to everyone for coming, and email us with any questions. You can use the support form if you already have access to that, which I think you guys do. You had the Buckles Connect training already, or just email cataloging@buckles.org.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Have a good afternoon.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.